Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a recent Portugal match that, honestly, it was an absolute masterclass in tension and high-stakes pressure. Look, if you thought the standard TV broadcast showed you everything, well, think again. We're gonna look right past that surface-level highlight reel to really uncover the hidden, tactical shifts in momentum that literally decided the fate of the whole game. It's like a giant puzzle, and we're putting the pieces together.
Okay, let's dive into this, because a massive, and I mean massive, psychological shift happened in this match. And the crazy thing, most fans didn't even notice it at first. No way. Everyone watching in the stands, everyone at home, they all just thought it was another routine game, playing out exactly as you'd expect. But beneath that completely normal surface, there was this hidden tactical undercurrent. A shift was happening that totally altered the trajectory of the game way before anyone truly realized what was unfolding right in front of them.
So, you've got to ask yourself, what changed everything in those final moments? We need to reverse engineer the psychological shifts of this match to find out. I mean, how does a seemingly standard, highly controlled game just suddenly flip entirely on its head? Keep that question right in the back of your mind as we unpack exactly how the momentum is stolen and how the narrative of this match was completely rewritten in real time. And this brilliantly illustrates the dynamic that defined the early parts of the game. On one hand, you have Portugal's initial posture, right? Absolute confidence, heavy possession. From the absolute get-go, they dictated the tempo, moving the ball with real purpose and just locking down the midfield. But against that, the opponent mounted a really dangerous, persistent pushback. They straight up refused to roll over and give up easily. Even when they didn't have the ball, their defensive shape was setting the stage for an incredible rise in tension. Let's break down exactly how this false sense of security was built. Portugal was just incredibly methodical. They were controlling the ball, dominating that early possession, and creating multiple scoring chances. Honestly, to anyone watching, a victory felt completely inevitable. The passing lanes were wide open, the defense was playing high. But there was a trap quietly setting itself: the opponent's continuous pushback. They weren't just sitting back and defending passively, no. Instead, they made every single counterattack they mustered incredibly dangerous, quietly probing for a weakness in Portugal's backline while completely lulling the dominant side into this comfortable, easy rhythm. Let's move to and see how this builds. Watch how quickly this false security unraveled as the clock ticked on. Opening minutes, perfectly confident start. Moving into the mid-game, that opponent pushback mounts. Testing the waters, and then, a split second, a single mistake in positioning. Moments later, a sudden, rapid counterattack. Voom. The methodical, comfortable possession we literally just analyzed wiped out in an absolute flash. The pace of the game went from totally predictable to complete chaos in the blink of an eye.
The entire atmosphere shifted instantly. It is staggering, honestly, how quickly a single error can fundamentally change the entire environment of a match. One poorly timed pass, one slight moment of lost focus from the defense, and the trajectory of everything we are looking at in this explainer flips entirely upside down. It wasn't some gradual decline in control. No, it was an immediate, visceral shock to the system that left the players absolutely scrambling. When that counterattack hit, the feeling in the air was thick. I mean, it felt like time literally stopped. As one fan in the stands recounted, the stadium went silent for a second, then exploded. That is the exact emotional peak of the match right there. The sudden realization of the mistake, the collective intake of breath, the absolute shock, and then the sheer roaring reaction of the crowd as the reality of the play actually set in. So the crucial point is, what we just witnessed wasn't just a standard goal, and it definitely wasn't just a routine play for the highlight reel. This was the turning point. It was the exact moment the match's momentum irrevocably changed. Everything before this moment, just setting the scene. Everything after, a frantic fight for survival. This singular event was the absolute climax that defined the tactical narrative of the entire game. Now, how do you actually survive a momentum shift that massive? Well, it requires navigating a game that is suddenly on a razor's edge. It requires key players stepping up, and most importantly, it demands profound experience under intense pressure in those frantic final minutes. And this is exactly where Portugal's veteran core really showed their worth. Players like Ronaldo, they used their vast accumulated experience to handle the high-pressure chaos. They didn't panic when the tactical momentum swung wildly away from them. Actually, scratch that. It wasn't just not panicking. They actively anchored themselves in their expertise, slowed the game down, and expertly saw the match out. You'd think surviving a chaotic game like this would be the grand finale of the story, right? But the most shocking part? This is only the beginning.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it reveals how this viral momentum shift, this incredible test of nerves and pressure, is merely setting the stage for what this Portugal squad is going to face next. It's literally a foundational building block for the team's psychology moving forward into even tougher fixtures.
Which brings us perfectly to a final, compelling thought. If you think this moment was insane, wait for the next match. What is coming next for Portugal? We've just tracked a massive emotional roller coaster, from immense, dominant confidence to a sudden, terrifying tactical shift in momentum, and finally, a reliance on pure veteran experience to survive the chaos. They survived the crucible this time, for sure. But how will this intense pressure test affect their strategy going forward? You are definitely going to want to keep a very close eye on this team's next chapter. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the hidden moments behind everything you see.